join us on Patreon, and become part of our journey to uncover history's untold stories. Your support helps us create in-depth content, bring hidden narratives to life, and keep history alive for everyone.
In the heart of the American Southeast, along the meandering banks of the Waccamaw River and the sweeping landscapes of the Carolinas, lies a story that has long been overshadowed by mainstream historical narratives. This is the story of the black-skinned Waccamaw tribe, a people whose legacy, resilience, and profound cultural heritage are deeply interwoven with the land they have called home for centuries. Their story is one of survival, adaptation, and cultural fusion, marked by both the harsh realities of colonial encroachment and the enduring strength of a people determined to preserve their identity against all odds. To speak of the Waccamaw is to delve into a past that predates European colonization. Indigenous to the region now known as North and South Carolina, the Waccamaw were part of the larger Siouan linguistic family, sharing cultural and linguistic ties with neighboring tribes. However, what sets the black-skinned Waccamaw apart is their distinctive heritage, a tapestry woven from the threads of indigenous, African, and European ancestry. This unique blend arose out of complex historical circumstances, including early contact with European settlers, the brutal imposition of slavery, and the blending of displaced African populations with Native American communities. Over generations, these intertwined legacies gave rise to a people whose identity was both multifaceted and deeply rooted in the land. The arrival of European colonists in the 16th and 17th centuries marked the beginning of seismic shifts for the Waccamaw people. The lush, fertile lands that had sustained them for countless generations became coveted territories for European settlers seeking economic gain through agriculture and trade. As colonial expansion accelerated, the Waccamaw faced dispossession of their ancestral lands, exposure to foreign diseases, and the violent suppression of their cultural practices. Yet, amidst this upheaval, the Waccamaw found ways to adapt and endure. Interactions with enslaved Africans, many of whom were brought to the Carolinas to work on plantations, led to the blending of cultures, traditions, and bloodlines. These bonds were not merely incidental, but forged through shared struggles against oppression and the common need for survival in an unforgiving colonial landscape. The designation of the Waccamaw as a black-skinned people is not merely a reference to physical appearance, but a testament to this rich, blended heritage. Over time, intermarriage and cultural exchange between the Waccamaw and African-descended peoples created a distinct community, one that defied rigid colonial racial classifications. This community developed its own traditions, drawing from indigenous practices, African spiritual customs, and European influences, forming a cultural mosaic that was both resilient and dynamic. Oral histories passed down through generations speak of elders who carried the wisdom of the land, healers who combined indigenous herbal knowledge with African spiritual practices, and artisans whose crafts bore the marks of multiple worlds. Despite their resilience, the black-skinned Waccamaw were not immune to the systemic racism and marginalization that pervaded American society. Throughout the 18th and 19th centuries, laws and social norms increasingly sought to erase the identities of people who did not fit neatly into the categories of black or white. For the Waccamaw, this meant a gradual erasure from official records, a denial of their indigenous heritage, and the stripping away of land rights. They were often misclassified, marginalized, and subjected to the harsh realities of racial discrimination. Yet they persevered, holding fast to their cultural practices in secluded communities where traditions could be safeguarded from the encroaching forces of assimilation. The dawn of the 20th century brought new challenges, but also new opportunities for cultural revival and recognition. As the United States grappled with the civil rights movement and a growing awareness of indigenous rights, the Waccamaw began to assert their identity more publicly. Community leaders emerged, dedicated to preserving their language, traditions, and stories. Efforts to gain federal recognition were met with bureaucratic hurdles, but the Waccamaw's determination never wavered. Cultural festivals, language revitalization programs, and historical research became avenues through which the tribe sought to reclaim its narrative and educate others about its unique heritage. Central to the Waccamaw identity is a profound connection to the land. The Waccamaw River, with its dark, slow-moving waters and lush surrounding ecosystems, is more than a geographical feature. It is a living testament to the tribe's enduring presence. The river has borne witness to centuries of change, from the rhythms of traditional fishing and farming practices to the encroachments of industrialization. It is said that the river carries the songs of the ancestors, a sacred artery that nourishes both body and spirit. This symbiotic relationship with nature is reflected in the Waccamaw's sustainable practices, spiritual beliefs, and storytelling traditions, all of which emphasize respect for the earth and its cycles. The Waccamaw's spiritual life is equally rich and multifaceted, blending indigenous cosmologies with African spiritual traditions and, in some cases, Christian influences. Ceremonies often involve drumming, dance, and oral storytelling, serving as conduits for communal memory and spiritual connection. The passing down of stories, of creation, of struggle, of resilience, is a sacred duty, ensuring that each generation understands its place within the continuum of the tribe's history. Ancestor veneration, a practice with deep roots in both African and indigenous traditions, remains a cornerstone of Waccamaw spirituality, reflecting the belief that the wisdom of the past guides the present and shapes the future. Yet, the journey toward recognition and cultural revitalization remains ongoing. The Waccamaw have faced numerous challenges in securing legal acknowledgement of their tribal status, battling historical inaccuracies and systemic neglect. Despite these obstacles, they continue to advocate for their rights, land, and cultural preservation. Community initiatives aimed at educating younger generations about their heritage, preserving sacred sites, and documenting oral histories are vital steps in this ongoing struggle for recognition and respect. In contemporary times, the Waccamaw stand as a testament to resilience and adaptability. They are a living bridge between the past and the future, embodying the strength that comes from embracing a complex identity forged through centuries of survival and cultural fusion. Their story challenges simplistic narratives of race and identity, offering a richer, more nuanced understanding of American history. It is a story that demands to be told, heard, and honored. As the world continues to grapple with questions of identity, heritage, and belonging, the legacy of the black-skinned Waccamaw tribe offers profound insights. Their enduring presence is a reminder that history is not a static record but a living, breathing continuum shaped by those who refuse to be forgotten. In their songs, their stories, and their steadfast connection to the land, the Waccamaw carry forward a legacy of strength, wisdom, and unyielding spirit, a legacy that beckons us all to listen, learn, and honor the rich tapestry of human history.